It is the day after the terrorist bombings in Boston. When we think of terrorist bombings, we don't usually think of Boston, an American city. We think of places like the Middle East and Southern Asia, and places where there is great political and military discord and where those acts are more common. We don't think about it in Boston. But it is now April 16th, the day after the tragedy when three people lost their lives, including an 8-year-old, and dozens, over 100, were seriously injured, some critically, and much of the world is in prayer for those people. As I ponder this tragedy, I find myself reminiscing on a story that is told by Bill W. from the mid-30s. Bill W. and Dr. Bob are the two men who are founders of Alcoholics Anonymous. And I believe that it was Bill W. was traveling on a business trip. And this is during a time when AA really hadn't been formally organized, and there was just a group of people that were trying to figure out how to maintain their sobriety and what was the relationship between their sobriety and spirituality. And at any rate, Bill W. was on a business trip, and he found himself standing in a hotel lobby, and somewhere off to the side he could hear the conviviality of those who were engaged in drinking adult beverages, the clinking of glasses and ice and the laughter. And he knew that his 5 months into sobriety was in serious danger because he had a thought, not a new thought. He said to himself, I need a drink. But almost instantly he had another thought. And it was, I don't need a drink. I need another drunk. And he called Dr. Bob, and from those humble conversations we have the beginning of an organization that has provided sobriety and serenity, the miracle of these gifts, to tens and hundreds of thousands of people for generations now. He reminds me, as I think about the brokenness that people are sifting through in Boston, and how our psyches are wounded right now, as it reminds us how we're all vulnerable. That in the life of the church, so often we confuse miracles with magic. That is, I will hear people say, I need to move on, or I'm looking for a new spirituality. I'm looking for that which would feed my soul. And typically, what I'm hearing them ask for isn't spirituality. What really they want is miracles. Or rather, what they really want is magic. Magic is that which you can control. It offers you the illusion of a miracle. What they want is magic. People really want magic in their life far more than they want God. That's my observation. They want that which they can control. Boston reminds us that there's so much in life we cannot control. Yet spirituality is that which happens and comes out of our brokenness that reminds us that we need to be in community. My heart is bent towards not only those who are suffering right now, the grief, the brokenness, the death, the loss, the tragedy of this horrible event, but I actually find my heart being bent towards the perpetrators of this crime as well. How separated have they come in their life from a true spirituality? How far have they moved away from God, even though they might use God in their justification? The Lord doesn't call us to act with violence upon one another. And it is precisely when Bill W. said, I don't need another drink, I need another drunk, that we are reminded that in all of our lives, in our brokenness, we need to be in community with one another. That when we are left alone, or to our own ideology, or to our own political discourse, when we are left to know only that which we already know, we're in danger. And what we want is magic. We want the illusion that we can control our destiny and the destiny of the world. Or what God calls us to, in a frank and honest humility, is that place where we have to admit that when we are in control, that's when we're most in danger. And it is we must give up that control to God, who calls us to the inward journey of learning to love self and God and neighbor, and then the outward journey of learning how to make the world different in that very same love, which isn't at all about magic. It's about the miracle of being in community with one another as broken people, but knowing that God can restore us. We all need to be praying, certainly for the people of Boston. We need to be praying as well for the people whose lives are so broken that they believe in the illusion of magic and how their taking control will make the world better. We need to pray for those people as well.